Hello! In this demo, we're going to go through setting up what we'll call the minimally viable amount of monitoring to configure for an Azure VMware Solution private cloud. And we're starting here at the enterprise scale for AVS GitHub page. This is a resource provided by Microsoft that provides documentation and sample ARM templates for automating AVS private cloud deployments and doing some post-deployment configuration. Now there's sample code here that will help you fully automate the private cloud deployment process, including configuring things like a VNet to connect your private cloud into, HCX after deployment, SRM after deployment, and some monitoring. And there's sample code here that will allow you to do that all in one big deployment. But let's assume here that you've created your private cloud by clicking through the GUI in the portal. And your private cloud is deployed, so what's the first thing you should do? Well, configure some very basic monitoring and alerts. So we'll look through this GitHub page here. And again, it talks through the solution architecture, what it's going to do. Then we have this deployment scenarios section. And since we've already deployed our private cloud object, we are looking at the brownfield deployment of the enterprise scale features. So click through that. If we scroll down, there's a section here about AVS monitoring. And this represents a starting point. You should configure more than what is here, but this is the minimum amount that you should do. And there are 3 templates we're going to deploy. The first will enable monitoring within the AVS private cloud and configure some alerts for common utilization thresholds for CPU usage, memory usage, disk space usage. Then we'll configure service health alerts. This will create an action group and set up alerts for AVS in a certain region so that when there are issues with service availability in that region, we'll get some emails. Then finally, we'll create a simple dashboard that we can use to see CPU, memory, disk utilization of our private cloud just at a glance. So we'll go through those now. We'll start with the enabling basic AVS monitoring. So I'm going to right-click on this Deploy to Azure button and open that in a new tab. And click over to it. Okay, and this is an ARM template that's looking for a little bit of information from me. What's the resource group I'm going to deploy into? And for me, that's this one, prod AVS 01 RG. And when I pick that, it'll put me in the right region. I'm fine with the default action group name and alert prefix. I want action group emails. There's a specific format it wants that in. It wants email addresses in quotes between those brackets. So we'll click in between those brackets, and then in quotes, we'll put in our email address, avs-tmm@vmware.com. That is an active email address. We'd love to hear from you. And now it wants the private cloud resource ID. And to get that, we will go back to the portal. We'll go to our private cloud object. And then on the overview tab, we'll click this JSON view link. And that will give us the resource ID and a button where we can quickly copy that to our clipboard. We'll go back to our deployment tab and paste that in. Cool. Nothing else to do, so we'll review and create. It's going to tell us we need to agree to the terms of service, and we do that by scrolling down at the bottom. Okay, we agree. We create. And that will chug along. With deployment succeeded, I will close that tab and move on to the next one. Service health alerts. Right-click, open a new tab. Click on over. Resource group, same as before, prod AVS 01. Got the right region. This time it just wants the email address with no special formatting, so put that in again, avs-tmm@vmware.com. Wants that private cloud resource ID again. I still have that in my clipboard, so I'll paste it in. And review and create. Again, need to scroll down to accept and create. Okay, that one's done too. Close that tab. Move on to the dashboard. Right-click, new tab. Resource group again. Good with the default names. And scroll down, paste in our private cloud resource ID again. There's this option to provide an express route connection resource ID. This is not mandatory, and if you paste in the resource ID of the express route supporting your AVS private cloud, you'll get a permissions issue. I think that's probably an issue with the template, but it's optional. We'll just leave it blank for now. Scroll down and create. Deployment create, we'll close that tab. Go back over to our Azure portal tab, and we'll look at what was configured here. Let's scroll down and go to alerts. If you look at alert rules, we'll scroll these over, see the whole thing. You'll see the alerts that were created. So we're going to send an alert whenever the average effective CPU goes above 80. We'll send it as a severity 2. Whenever average memory usage is greater than 80%, again, severity 2. And whenever disk usage percentage goes above 70, we'll send it with a severity 2 warning. And we're going to send a critical alert if our disk usage percentage goes above 75. Remember that with vSAN, we need to keep at least 25% slack space available on that volume. And if we drop below 25%, so if we exceed 75% usage, we no longer qualify for the AVS SLA. So those alerts are there. Go back to the cloud object. Look at the action groups that were created. Action groups created to send emails when those alerts are triggered. Okay, now we'll go up here, we'll type in service health. And health alerts. Here are the service health alerts that were created by those scripts. Scroll down, we can see, yep, action group name, AVS alerts, sending email to our email address. So any service availability issues, we're going to get notified. Now we can go to dashboards here, click the drop down, and here's our AVS dashboard. So we can see at a glance, CPU usage by cluster, data store usage by cluster, and memory usage by cluster. So some very basic AVS health alerting created very quickly by using that enterprise scale for AVS GitHub repo. Now you should create more than this, and in future videos we'll show you how to do that.